Good morning, everybody. Happy Sunday. It is a little chilly here today and humid. Let's see what the temperature is. I didn't even look this morning. It's 59. I took a jacket, but I didn't actually need it. That's 70% humidity. That's why. We have already been up and took all the doggos for a walk. Olive sleeps in her kennel at night, and she is very crazy by the time she's ready to come out in the morning. So she needs that doggy walking. Hi, Lynn. Hi, Dean. How are you guys doing today? I'm excited. Next Saturday, well, actually this upcoming Saturday, is our meetup. I'm super duper excited. It's going to be a little cool, but still just going to the park, hanging out, and then having the delicious barbecue afterwards. I'm really excited. So if any of you live in the area, we are in Northwest Washington State. Come join us. I know it's really scary to go and meet complete strangers, but I promise everybody has always been ever so sweet. And yeah. Hi, Noreen and Bruce. Oh my gosh, I'm going to say your names wrong. I'm sorry if I do. I'm really bad at this. Altoria. Hi, open-minded. Oh, England. What is it? Late in the evening there right now? Thank you, Trevor. I am feeling much better. The autoimmune flare-up is on its way out, which I'm very thankful for because usually it lasts for months. But Scott and I have been really, really good about not letting me overdo it and just being really consistent. Are you snickering over there?
Yes.
Scott is sitting in front of me, even if I attempt to say behind me, being our moderator today. Hi, Martha.
She got a shot calling for a minute. You're overdoing it.
Hi, Sandy. It's 5 p.m. there. Good morning, Vivi. Having our standard coffee. I have been using heavy cream, but this is pretty much the only thing I use for heavy cream. We did have some delicious burgers. I should have brought it up here. If you guys are in the U.S., I don't know. Canada's probably pretty expensive. I don't know about outside the U.S., but I've been trying this Gardner, Wisconsin cheese. Holy cannolis, it is delicious. They have is it a 17-year-old aged cheddar?
17, yep.
Delicious. We had burger patties yesterday, and it was amazing. Amazing. Okay, guys, let's jump in it. Remember, if you have questions, I might have answers. Just ask, and we will get to it. Ooh, got a brisket and pork butt in the smoker. Oh, Bruce, let me know how that goes. I am really, really wanting to go buy a smoker. I love smoked meat. I just love it. And I'm wanting to do that specifically, too, for doing brisket. I love brisket. Scott loves brisket.
Mm-hmm.
It's very hit and miss. So let me know how your brisket goes because I've had some really good, and we've had a lot of really bad dry brisket. So I'd be really interested in knowing how that goes. Okay, let's jump into the questions. Let's see.
I don't have questions this morning. Just a lot of well wishes. Thank you. We're going to dinner.
Oh, I was going.
Some of the comments questions.
Yeah. Someone said, thanks for sharing. What did you stop eating? I stopped eating processed foods. That was pretty much it. Whole meats and dairy. I do spices, but the stopped eating was fast food, donuts, restaurant food, prepackaged food. Stopped all of that. And fruit. Just because I ate too much.
I stopped heavy cream.
Do you drink coffee? Yes, that is what I'm drinking now. I drink 1 cup a day. Scott is made out of coffee. So, Trevor fell off carnivore for a couple weeks, not badly, but enough for me to restart. Okay. It's the falling off and then getting back on that we learn the reason that we fell off and can avoid it. No. We got lots of dogs today.
Katie.
that you can avoid it in the future, or at least know something's a trigger for you. Let's see. New to carnivore, welcome, PJ. Your coffee, butter, and heavy cream. Would stevia work as well? I either do heavy cream or butter. I do prefer heavy cream, but I use what? A tablespoon to a tablespoon and a half is all I use for heavy cream. You could do stevia if the sugar is not going to trigger, or the stevia isn't going to trigger sugar cravings. That is the big thing, is if you have any of these artificial sweeteners, are they pushing you to want to eat more and eat sugar? And that's something you're going to have to figure out yourself. If it was an ideal world, you wouldn't use it. But if it's that thing that keeps you going and keeps you on, and here's the thing too, especially because you're new, do things that get you to be consistent and don't worry about the 10%, the 5%. It's called min-maxing. You guys have probably heard me say this before. It's a video game nerd kind of thing. And it's where you go to the nth degree of trying to squeeze every ounce of lemon juice out of a lemon, but you've not even squeezed half of it out. Why worry about the last few percent? So get consistent, and then you can worry about the other things. Do you have any idea of sugar-free? Scott's gonna go deal with the dogs. Olive is a coonhound. She's a big old girl, and when she starts barking, the others start barking, and it's just like a tirade of dog barks. Do you have any idea if any sugar-free flavoring you add to coffee or tea will keep you insulin resistant? Sugar-free stuff, because there's all the way from stevia to, my brain isn't working, aspartame and everything in between. The issue with that stuff is it, especially on the aspartame side, the chemicals aren't good for us. Amanda's opinion, I think that's why we're having such, are they here?
No.
Oh, they're just being bad dogs.
Being bad dogs.
We got 4 bad dogs right now.
Nobody coming today.
Oh, sorry. Where were we at? Oh, the aspartame and things, the chemicals. There's been a steady decline in men's testosterone, older, younger, teenagers, 20-year-olds. And what's changed in the past 50 years, 60 years? The amount of chemicals we use in our food to preserve our foods. Anyhow, I use vanilla extract. If you want flavoring, you can use hazelnut extract. Those are things that it's literally just the extract, no artificial anything in it. So that is what I do to flavor my coffee. Try it. It's delicious. I haven't got the gumption to try lemon in it yet. I'm not really sure what lemon extract would taste like, but there's all sorts of different ones you can use. And again, trial and error. My suggestion, if you can avoid it, don't do it. But if you need it and it's what keeps you on the straight and narrow, I'm not judging. If you could choose one co-host for your live out of either Michaela Peterson or James Clear, who would you choose? I would choose Jordan Peterson, honestly. I know that's not an option of the two. I think I would choose James Clear. I love the 12 Rules for Life is a really, really good book. But I have to say Atomic Habits. Oh, Olive. The Atomic Habits is what's completely turned around my view of the tiny steps. Not why I've failed every other diet. I mean, carnivore meets all my needs. But it's because I've been trying to change so much at one time. Tiny steps. How did I get 360 pounds? 1 pound at a time, which means how do I get away from 360 pounds? 1 pound at a time. But society says fat people are less valuable. They're looked down on, blah, 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 blah. So we want to drop it. We want to get rid of it like that. But that's not how it works. No matter how much we wish it, my actions, going to the gym 50 days a week, 5 days a week, literally working myself to the bone to exercise the weight off in the past and just doing more and more and more, when eventually became unsustainable. And then I would fall off and then binge and then gain 20, 30, all of it back plus extra. So James Clear, short answer. That was a very long answer. About your suggestion of Atomic Habits, from when is it safe to read for queasy people who feel all the pain of that medical story in the beginning? The medical story's only in, is it just the introduction, Scott? Do you remember? Once you get past the medical story stuff, it's done. He may reference like in a few words, but all that's past.
No, that's it. That's just kind of like giving him the genesis of his life.
Yeah. So it's, don't worry about it. It's nothing else in any medical way later on in the book. It's my third day without coffee. I can't drink it without sugar, so I decided to cut it out and boy, my tea feel better in just hours. That's good. I used to drink venti caramel frappuccino from Starbucks all the time. So I know what it's like to have sugar. It was more sugar than anything in my coffee drinks. And now I drink it with nothing. It took time to bring that down though. I mean, we're talking now I have a literal black coffee with a tablespoon and a half of heavy cream and a squirt of vanilla extract. So there's no sweetness, but it took me a while to get there, just slightly less and less. Do you eat any other kinds of cheese other than Gardner's? Excuse me, like cream cheese, cheddar, or other block cheese?
Yeah, Tillamook.
I'm going to try cutting out all dairy except butter for a while and see what happens. We do Tillamook, especially if I'm going to make like Scott loves queso. I'll use the Tillamook because they have like habanero cheese, pepper jack, and then cheddar. I will make Scott's queso with that. Lately, just Gardner's. And here's the reason. One, it's phenomenal. Plus tons of like, if you go to the fancy cheese section in the grocery store, we try different cheeses intermittently there. I actually do better with the more expensive cheese. This is why. I can't sit down and literally eat half the block because every time I take a slice, it's like, this is $15 cheese. You know what I mean? So that cheese lasts usually a couple weeks. And I just do like a thin slice, put it on my burger, and that's the most cheese I'll have for a day or two now. Because I'm like, this is expensive. You know, I think Gardner's isn't $15, but that's what I tell myself. It's like $12 for a block of it, but well worth it. And honestly, it keeps me from eating much. I will also tell you, I've done the dairy experiment. I think it's an excellent thing to do for at least 30 days for each person to try to see how they feel without it. Good morning, Danita. I'm curious, are you coming this Saturday to the meetup? I'm really excited for everybody that's coming because please nobody take offense when I say this if you live in this area. I grew up in Las Vegas. I've lived in Virginia, Minnesota, Phoenix, all that. The food restaurants up here, a lot of them are very mediocre. Sorry. However, we found a handful, and barbecue is really hard to find up here. The Big Stick Barbecue here in Bellingham, phenomenal. And like I've been to Oklahoma and Texas and had like legit barbecue, really good. Anyways, I just had to mention that. Question of giving up what I want for what I need is the best. Yes. I'm not sitting next to it, but I literally have a sticky note. Scott and I have the same, because I'm sitting in his spot. We have the same, but I have a sticky note right here on my side over there. And the reason I have it over there is because every morning when I sit in my chair, I look at it and it says, are you willing to give up what you want for what you need? And I had forgotten that. And that's why I put it as sticky note. So if you're struggling, ask yourself that. Are you willing to give up what you want for what you need? Because here's the thing. When it comes to carbs and sugars and that, like using food for myself for emotional support, it is what I want. In that moment, I want to feel better. Forget 10 minutes, 10 hours, 10 years from now. The Amanda right now cares about feeling better right now. And so giving up using food to feel better right now is giving up what I want. It's a very powerful thing because if you're not willing to give up what you want for what you need, then the path is sickness, pain, misery. And we're consciously making that choice if we're not willing to give it up. Okay. So like, it's such a powerful thing to work through your brain. Morning, Lynette. I have a sewing project and I always think of you now every time I have a sewing project going on. How's your sister's ankle doing? How's the pregnancy coming? Her ankle hurts and it's swollen. Her and I were talking about it because she's gained a lot. My sister's always been very petite. I'm the youngest. She's the middle sister. And she doesn't think if she wasn't pregnant, she probably wouldn't have actually broke it just because of the extra weight from the pregnancy, because she's so short. She's 5'1", like 5'1", 5, right under 5'2". She's miserable and she's got 5 weeks left and she can't wait to get it over with the baby to come. But sadly, they said the fracture, it's going to be after the baby's born before the fracture is healed. Thankfully, it's the fibula on her leg. So it's the non-weight bearing bone, not the big bone in our lower leg that she fractured. So good for her, which means she's non-weight bearing, because I can't imagine being pregnant and having to use crutches. Hello. Are we the same person? I'm very seriously considering trying this. I hope not, but that would be crazy if we were. MD, I can't get back on track. Take a piece of paper, and I'm serious, write it down and write it to yourself. Am I willing to give up what I want for what I need? And then sit with it. I know I just talked about this, so I won't go too in depth, but literally sit with that. Because think about the connotations of not being willing to give up what you want for what you need. And I mean, I went through this whole mental exercise myself. If I'm not willing to, I'm going to gain everything I lost back, get fatter, have a hard time wiping my butt. Type 2 diabetes I'll give it to myself again because I'll abuse my body and I will die a slow, miserable death. And the worst part is I will make Scott suffer every single moment along that road as I'm slowly killing myself again. And so for me, like that's me. That's where I'm at. Go through that thought process for yourself. Write it down. Because I promise you, it's an ugly road if you're not willing to give up what you want for what you need. And I mean, do it. Like, guys, like, seriously, don't just say you're going to do it. Do it. It will help so much. Oh, the Beecher's flagship is good. It is good. They have a white cheddar that's delicious. I'm not going to lie, though. The Gardner's Sharp 17-year-old is better. Now, Beecher's, it's like a step under. And it's easy because you can get it at the grocery store. Gardner's is still my favorite, though. But that's me.
Yeah, I have another suggestion about getting on track.
Uh-huh.
Kind of like how we're taking care of Olive for a little while. It forces us to get up and take care of an animal that we do the morning mile every day. We get up and we do it because she's in the kennel at night. And it puts us out of our comfort zone a little bit such that we have to serve the animal and serve ourselves. We get a benefit, she gets a benefit, and it's going to start building good habits with her and getting up and so on. Maybe do that with somebody else, somebody that
or
you can serve or help in some way.
Or do you want an Olive dog? She's super sweet.
She is.
She will be your reason to get up in the morning and go exercise. We are fostering Olive right now because we already have 3 of our own. Okay. Olive is a coonhound. She's super duper sweet. She needs training and I'm working with her on it. And she needs someone that's going to exercise her because she just has a lot of energy. Mm-hmm. She's well socialized. If you're looking for a good dog, we're looking for a good home for her. Email me. I'm just going to be shameless about this. But she is sweet. But Scott's right. If you are having a hard time getting on, put something in place that helps you. I told Scott, Olive has come at the perfect time for us. We walk the dogs every day for the morning mile, guaranteed. However, Olive needs miles walked, and there is no skipping a day. So the puppies, the 2 small ones, are benefiting from this because I have to walk that dog because she needs the exercise. She's 65 pounds of sweet, goofy craziness, but she needs it because she's super calm after she's been walked. Put things in place to help with that. Hello, Lula. That's sweet little Lula. All right, let's see. I feel so much better on Carnivore, but I'm never able to do it for more than a month. I am curious why, if you wouldn't mind answering, why at the end of the month are you falling off? Is it getting boring? Are you struggling? What is going on with that specifically? Gave up coffee too when I got the diagnosis of diabetes. Couldn't drink it without sugar too. some people are going to disagree with this because I'm not a coffee connoisseur. Like, I don't know what the difference between fancy coffee and not. But Starbucks, if you're going to go there, they have a hot, oh gosh, Scott, blonde Americano with heavy cream. That's what you get, blonde Americano with heavy cream. It's a lightly roasted espresso bean. There's no sugar in it, but it is delicious if you need a little pick-me-up. And for the people who have given up coffee because they couldn't drink it without sugar, the best thing you can do is if you feel like you have to have it, you're dying without it, just a little less and a little less each week till you wean yourself down and out. It's how I did it. Granted, it's been quite a hot minute since then, but I had a challenge of doing restoration work for a 100-year-old garment from another country. Oh my goodness. Will you send me pictures if you still have it? I would love to see it. I love old stuff. FR, my oldest daughter's birthday party yesterday. I didn't eat any of the cake. Woo woo! Congratulations. Doesn't that feel good? Because now you're past it. It's like I didn't even miss the cake because you didn't eat it. It was days ago. But that is amazing, FR. Like, amazing. Good job. Like, seriously. Because cake is my bane. So I have a double, like, congratulations for not eating that. Shall my little dog is even carnivore. That's amazing. Lost 26 pounds. Osteoarthritis is tolerable. Finally being able to walk a mile, even heavily, slowly converting. That is wonderful. And that's why I tell you guys, we are the beacon of light for the people around us. We're the pebble being dropped in the pond that starts the ripple. By doing the small things and just being patient with people and showing them improvements and changes, people will jump on board. Why? Because they're like, oh, you used to be sad, depressed, that person nobody wanted to be around because they were just so sad and depressed. Now you're happy, vivacious, and alive. I want that. I want that for myself. And so they start being curious. And I'm super proud of you. I'm super proud of your husband too. And your doggo, although they don't even get to decide to do it, but they probably love it. TJ, I'm not losing weight and I'm extremely frustrated. TJ, have you taken an entire week and journaled everything you've eaten? And I'm not just talking about being vague. I'm talking about weighing your food out, not changing anything, but weighing your food out. It gives you a good idea if the creep has happened, or maybe you're consuming not enough, or you're eating more protein, not enough fat, or vice versa. You have to figure out where you're at first, and then you can go from there. But not knowing the baseline is not helpful. I mean, not for me, but for yourself. It's not helpful because it's kind of guessing. Like when a couple months ago, I was like, I wonder why I haven't lost any weight this month. And then I went back and looked, and it's like, oh, Amanda, you had been eating lots of cheese every single day. Every single day. And that was why. So I was able to go back and look at my journal of like, okay, well, this is why I was eating a crap ton of cheese. So let me know if you've done that. And if you haven't, start today. Journal everything, how much water you're drinking, everything you're eating, weigh it out, measure it out. It's a heavy thought. Like, are we willing to do it for ourselves? I cannot say this enough. This is like my core go-to. Am I willing to give up what I want for what I need? And what I need too is to not be a burden on my husband. Like, it's not just what I need physically, but emotionally, for our family, for our dogs, those kinds of things. Llama. That is an adorable little llama, by the way. As I heal and get closer to a good weight, I'm not as hungry and question if I'm getting enough nutrients. Do you? I don't worry about it, and here's why. Our bodies have sustained as human beings for a very long time on this planet without calorie calculators, without knowing nutrient density of foods. If you have extra weight on yourself, even if it's 10 or 15 pounds, your body when you're in ketosis, it will sustain on that fat, and our body recycles the amino acids so that what the proteins break down into. I don't stress about it. If you start getting towards underweight or you're really lethargic and not feeling well, then I would look into it. Other than that, I don't Our bodies are extremely smart. It amazes me every single time, just even how a cut heals in our body. Our bodies are so dang smart. Smarter than my active brain. Mama Bear, speaking of wiping your own butt, I've been having some major spine surgery soon. How am I supposed to accomplish this task when I'm not allowed to twist my spine? You most likely will have occupational therapy in the hospital, and they will give you, not to be crude to anybody, I can't remember the actual name, but it's a device that's like one of those, what is it called? The grabbers where you pick up trash with?
Grabbers.
We're going to call it a grabber. But it's been modified, and you use it to wipe your bum. So you don't actually have to twist your spine. Or better yet, go to Amazon and get one of the installable bidets. They're not expensive, and then you don't even have to worry about it because the water will clean your bottom. Super trick there. But occupational therapists will show you, and the physical therapist, of how to not break your spinal precautions. There's a butt wipers on Amazon. I wouldn't stress about it because most likely the occupational therapist, Lynette, will give it to you and show you how to use it in the hospital. Good morning, Ingrid. Working at a cafeteria and a restaurant, I'm surrounded by food all the time. Temptation is hard and staying on track. Plus, I have a huge garden and love my veggies. Ingrid, maybe you would do better with a little bit of ketovore where you can have, there's different reasons to do ketovore, carnivore. Carnivore works so well for the autoimmune if you want to be like nth degree with getting rid of the diabetes. But if you do well with some vegetables, you have to figure that out for yourself. You might do fine on ketovore with having like a little bit of asparagus or Brussels sprouts or, whatever you can tolerate well, sprinkled throughout the week with mostly meat. I have to say, amazing job. If you're working somewhere where there's food and stuff in your face all the time, that is amazing. And I'm going to cry. I absolutely applaud you because that is constantly having to deal with temptation. It's like being a heroin addict and constantly having heroin sitting in front of you where you can get it. Suggestion I have for you, and hopefully you're already doing this, is look at the food, and I guarantee you they're using vegetable oil. Vegetable oil, they've used it in machines for lubrication, okay? I'm going to find the video documentary I watched, and I'm going to link it on to my community portion of my YouTube. That's what I think of vegetable oil now. They use it to lubricate machines. Do we want that inside us? No. I would not go and drink the oil that I put in my car. I'm not going to drink and use it. So all that cafeteria and restaurant food, boom, all of it, machine oil in it. I think, excuse me, I think I figured that out for now. I cannot do any experiments. Tenderloin for lunch, Carrie's Power Bowl for dinner, if I'm running late or need to snack right now. Okay, Lula, it's because my cravings for carbs are getting hard to resist. Okay, so cravings are getting you. If you've been consistent for a month, depending if you are a severe type 2 diabetic, you're an insulin diabetic, these are the caveats between this, because if you are having to use insulin, it keeps you right on the cusp of going in and out of ketosis. And so it can make the cravings last a lot longer. There's hope. You just have to be consistent. Okay. If you are not in the insulin level of diabetes, usually at 4 weeks, you should be pretty well into fat adaptation, which tells me most likely this is from, if you're an emotional binge eater, that's what's happening. You're getting stressed and the food and the cravings are coming from that. Let me know. Oh, wait, here's another one. I usually start carnivore once I notice my bones hurt in my arms and legs. It's not muscle soreness. It literally feels like my bones hurt. I'd also be curious if you have any autoimmune stuff or any diagnosis of arthritis, like osteoarthritis. Beyond the point. Literally figure this out. Get to the end of the month and then start journaling. I want to eat because for me, once I get past those 4 weeks, it is always an emotional trigger, stress, whatever it is, that makes me want to eat. When you get there, go back to, am I willing to give up what I want for what I need? It is a very, very powerful statement. Okay. Like I've talked about this already, but literally go through the logic if you're not willing to, because it puts us down a road. It puts us down a road that is misery and death, and we're choosing it. Scott raised his hand.
So part of that, she's talking about the mental aspect of dealing with cravings. There's a physical way you can also help deal with that. Having a bridge drink, a salt rock, a healthy snack, bacon in a little Ziploc bag, or
you want to grab the salt rock? I can't reach it. I don't have extendo arms.
Yes.
Okay, salt rock. For those you guys don't know, this is salt rock. I get it from Redmond's. I believe you can do the Himalayan salt rocks Amazon has. You have to buy this one specifically from Redmond's. There's always a link in the description for Redmond's below. But you can do the Amazon Himalayan ones. You just suck on this when you have cravings. That with some water, and it will tell you if it goes away, boom, craving. If it goes away, then that helps with just a little bit of hunger you may have been experiencing. If you keep using this, it will help with the cravings. The salt is very I don't know how to explain it, satiating. It meets that need. And it's an oral motor thing where like when we eat, we actually have in the back of our brain, it's motor mapping of us eating, and it derives pleasure from doing these motions. You get the same thing using the rock when you suck on it a few times. Super good. Bridge drink, that can be coffee, water, tea. You just drink it a little bit all day long to keep some fluid in your stomach, and it keeps your stomach from feeling completely empty, i.e. helping with wanting to not eat.
Thank you.
Sorry, did I interrupt you? My apologies if I did. Kevin, put butter in your coffee, just a little bit. It'll help get past the sugar cravings. A little dose of fat. You can do, butter bites. I have a video on my YouTube on how to make them. They're yay big. You just suck on it or chew on it, and that works really well. Eat some little bit of protein, something. Aim for, if you're going to, this is a good step too. I need a cookie. Let's say I need a cookie. Okay, before I get the cookie, I'm going to put in place, I'm going to go have a butter bite. And then I'm going to reassess in 10 minutes. Okay. This is just suggestions for you to use. Whatever. Use pork, or I don't care. Pork rinds, do whatever you want. But I want a cookie. Okay, first step I'm going to do butter bites, protein, something. Assess in 10 minutes. Then I'm going to drink water, assess in 10 minutes. And if you keep putting these barriers into place, they will stop you from eating the bad stuff. All right, what about zero sugar soda? This goes along with any artificial sweeteners. If you can get away without doing it, do it. But if it's that thing that keeps you on the straight and narrow and you are doing okay with it, I have no judgment about it. You know, it's ideal world, we wouldn't have anything that had any chemicals of any kind. But again, it's better to be on the 90% on the road versus you're not allowing yourself to have that zero sugar soda, and then you can't even stay on the path and go back to eating a standard American diet. You got to weigh these options for yourself. All right. Lula, sometimes I feel bad about myself because I can barely walk 3 miles because I have family members who regularly walk 5+. I feel a bit better knowing that I can walk more than some people. Yeah. I was 32, hardly able to walk a couple houses down the road without a walker. Okay. But don't judge ourselves by other people. They have not experienced what we have in our life and our genetics and DNA and everything. Yes, my love.
Yeah, the Jordan Pierce makes a point of that is you don't compare yourself to anybody else because their lives are totally different.
Yes.
But you compare yourself to yourself yesterday.
Yes. And I know it's hard because it's pretty much social media is to, especially Instagram. I'm not super active on Instagram just because of various things. But anyways, judging our lives to someone else's. It's like judging a tire and an apple. It's not the same thing. Where they started, the choices that they made are not. The opportunities they had or you had, they're not the same. And so no judging our lives against others. So is this technically keto? It falls under an umbrella. Keto, well, there's different meanings to ketos. keto stuff. Keto usually is 20 carbs or less a day. Carnivore is low to no carbs. Ketovore is like 95% meat, 5% veg, and it just depends on how much vegetables you want to eat. But ketovore is still meat if you're going to do dairy, and then maybe a few servings of vegetables during the week. Carnivore is meat, dairy. That's it. Although I had a few things like coffee and spices.
We're dirty carnivores because we have
dirty carnivores.
Because we have spices on our steaks and stuff.
Yeah. My sister-in-law is totally vegan and overweight. She thinks I'm doing major harm to myself. I try to explain to her how bad she is destroying her body. Sad she won't even try. Here, the thing with vegans and stuff is it has become, and I have run into some carnivores like this too, but it has become part of their identity. And when you're telling them how bad they're not doing well, they feel like it's a personal attack. And whether you're right or not, they get very affronted and dig in more, and they're not willing to change. It's with vegans, I think it's just letting them see, the improvements, and they're going to make the choices they're going to make, sadly. I'm assuming it wasn't 4,546 pounds on carnivore, but a good amount. We're going to say 50. Blood sugar was 290, nowadays 101. Now my 5 months measurement of blood sugar is 5, plus I work out every day. That all sounds like much better. And it takes time. It really does. Asked to compare blood work. That is actually... Desmomoto, are you off the medications? The only thing I'm taking right now is a hydroxychloroquine. I'm still taking half a dose for the autoimmune, and I am on my full dose of my antidepressant after 2 weeks ago of not doing well at all. I will revisit the antidepressant once I get to the healthy weight that I should be. I would like to be completely off of it by the time, I'm hoping end of next year, when Scott and I start looking at having kids. But that's where I'm at. And I'm going to, probably in 3 months, try stopping the hydroxychloroquine and seeing if I can get away with not taking that. Any thoughts of using unsweetened almond milk in place of heavy whipping cream to save calories and fat? Because I drink whole pot of coffee most days. Almond milk is really not from almonds, which most people probably already know this. Well, it's not the actual almond, it's the outside. Sometimes I go down these paths. Anyways, I would not suggest it. Almonds, like all of them, are very high in oxalates. And the thing is the fat is actually good for us. A whole pot of coffee most days. That is, Scott.
Not anymore.
No, not anymore. Have you considered not drinking as much coffee? That would be my suggestion. Drink more water, or try like herbal teas, or my favorite seltzer waters and things like that. It's just a lot of coffee, and coffee isn't necessarily bad for us. However, having a large amount of coffee, caffeine does leach calcium from the bones, and so getting a crap ton of coffee every day is not so good for our bone health. Just throwing that out there. Leave it, but I would not use almond milk. If I was going to replace it, I'd use coconut milk over almond milk any day. Have you ever lived a moment you thought was the best when it was the exact opposite? I can't think of a time that I've ever lived in a moment I thought was great and was bad, except a moment I thought was great, later to come find out 5 minutes later, my decision was a terrible one and it bit me in the butt. That's about it. Oh, thank you, Kevin. Lost 46 pounds. I guess somewhat right on carnivore. That's awesome. That is amazing. Carnivore is also very good for celiacs. Yep, I don't even have to worry about avoiding gluten because meat is inherently gluten-free. Usually, yes. If it's highly processed, then you have to be a little more cautious. Oh yeah, ham and stuff. Just gotta pay attention. Just Boar's Head,
Boar's
I
Head
think.
is a very good brand.
Mm-hmm. I like Boar's Head from just like the grocery store stuff. They tend to have not a lot of crap in it. All right, Trevor, try carnivore. It's a bit of a struggle at times, but I'm 58 years old and often get mistaken for being 10 to 15 years younger. Yeah, I'm super happy for the people who do carnivore and they're like, this is a breeze. And like, I'm genuinely very happy for them. A lot of us, including me, it does. We've spent so long of our lives being slaves to sugar and carbs and food and things that it is a struggle. Even I'm at 1 year and 3 months, something like that. And I find that at times it does, especially being a female. And cycles, things like that can be a bit of a troublesome. So if you're struggling at all, you're not alone. It happens. We ain't perfect. Answer my question about Himalayan salts. Thank you so much. Shipping to Canada is outrageous. Yes, I absolutely like the cost is ridiculous. But you do the Himalayan salt rocks, Amazon, work just as good. Crisco, crystallized cottonseed oil. I've never used Crisco in my entire life. I've seen it a few times and it freaked me out. Now I gotta go look that up. Zero sugar soda is going to be the worst for me to quit, I think. Baby steps. Let's say you have 3 a day, go to 2 a day for like a week or two, then go to 1 a day a week or two. And then versus going to none, go get some sparkling water, seltzer water, no sugar in it. Do half and half, like half a soda, the sugar-free sweetened one, with the unsweetened seltzer water and water it down so you don't lose the bubbliness. And then after, 6-ish weeks, boom, you're done. And then I drink sparkling seltzer water 1 a day, 1 every other day, just depending. Tend to drink one of them every time I go outside and work because it's so refreshing. Get to that point, just small bites. Oh, POTS, interesting. Yes, salt will help with POTS. POTS is actually quite rare. Although I haven't seen patients in here, so I wonder if there's more of an increase in it lately. Will the new YouTube censorship rules affect you as it's on anything not recommended by the WHO? I don't think so, because my channel is about sharing my journey, not about like Dr. Berry channel is about sharing like carnivore. Mine is about sharing my personal journey with carnivore. I mean, I hope Dr. Berry's isn't either, don't get me wrong, but I'm not too concerned, but I guess we'll cross that bridge when it gets there.
Worst case, we go to Rumble.
Yeah, Scott's already set a Rumble up or something. I have not looked at it once. Oh yeah, the Bubblies. Bubblies are good. Is Bubbly owned by Pepsi? I don't remember. I like LaCroix, and what's the other one? Simply Organic. Simply Truth Organic, I think, is another one.
Simply Truth, the tall cans.
Yeah, you just have to be careful because some of them, like LaCroix, I think some of the bubbly ones do have sugar, like legit sugar. You just have to make sure you pay attention to that. Can't drink very much dairy because I have a lactose intolerance that comes and goes. I can put nut milk in my coffee instead. I don't even add sugar, just unsweetened nut milk. For carnivore, I would avoid nut milk like the plague. It is just drinking liquid oxalates, which are inflammatory. And don't get me wrong, I love nuts. Macadamia nuts, oh my gosh. And I used to use almond milk for everything. I would use coconut milk if you can tolerate the coconut, okay, for that. Or, better option, butter. As long as you're not extremely sensitive like lactose, butter in your coffee. The key is blend it. Don't just like plop it in there and like mix it around. Get a frother. I've got one on my Amazon like page thing. Get a frother. It's like $15. Or use an immersion blender. Or if you've got a blender with like the little cups, pour the coffee in there, blend it up. And I tell you, it is almost like having heavy whipping cream, having butter in there. And you do what? Half a tablespoon, you think, of butter in 1 cup?
About that, yeah.
Yeah, about half a tablespoon of butter to 1 tablespoon of butter per cup of coffee. Literally, don't just plop it in there. I'm telling you, I did that one time. I'm like, this is disgusting because it's like, sorry. It's just like a layer of fat on top of the coffee, and it gives you like this fat mustache. It's so gross. Blend it up, it emulsifies it and mixes everything together, and it's good. Trulicity kind of got me started thinking about this, plus my sister kind of does this. Trulicity absolutely killed my appetite, like I have to make myself eat. My stomach has, there's a lot of side effects. Trulicity, and my mom took it. I think she started on it at one point. There's just a lot of side effects that go with it. I guess we're dirty carnivore. We use lots of different seasonings. We do too. I'm a retired chef, so not using seasonings is tough. Agreed. Not a retired chef, but I agree. It's what gives me the spice of life, right? And that way I don't feel like I'm eating the same thing over and over and over, even if it's the same cut of meat. Karen, your live stream yesterday was awesome. I applied what you said to myself and figured out 2 reasons why I began having weight issues as an adult. Yeah, that is, and normally I actually have never really actually talked about it. And it's our childhood impacts our adulthood for reals. And was it Jordan Peterson? I think it was Jordan Peterson. I don't remember which book. I think it was his second book that he was talking about it, that he was talking to one of his clients, and he was pretty much, you're living in the eyes of an 8-year-old, but you're now 30. Like, look from it from an adult's perspective of the trauma that happened as a kid. And it's very different when we can actually understand the circumstances and around situations. I think ketovore is my route until the garden runs out. Then maybe I'll have straight carnivore. Thanks for tips. You're welcome. As long as you feel good and you're doing well, we can nitpick ourselves to death, or others can help nitpick us to death about being strict. That is not my point. My whole suggestion with all of this is doing what is consistent. Consistency is key.
Progress over perfection.
Progress over perfection. 100%. Do you mind which antidepressant you're on? I take Prozac. What's it called? Fluoxetine's the off-brand name for it. It has been the best. The reason they started initially, I've been on all sorts of different ones. I've had some really bad side effects from various ones. This one's helped a lot because it's also helps with anxiety, and that's the whole reason that years ago that they switched me to this one. I like it. I don't feel that numbness, that like detachment I used to feel from the other ones I used to take. I take 40 milligrams right now. I tried to 3 weeks ago get off of it and had some very detrimental, almost devastating effects. And here's the thing. I spent the past 8 months trying to get off of it. It wasn't just starting then stopping. I've been tapering myself down for 8 months, and it was just not ready. And that's okay. I have constant nausea likely caused by medications. Can carnivore diet help prevent that? It depends. In the beginning, if you have been eating a low-fat diet, nausea is kind of common for the first couple of weeks till your body adapts. I would say most of your medications you should be, if you're eating with them, that should help with the nausea. But eventually, yes, carnivore will solve any nausea, upset stomach issues that you experience. My crazy husband drinks a whole pot a day. Scott used to drink a pot and a half. No joke. Like, he'd drink coffee till 9 o'clock at night. Yeah. No bueno.
I still drink coffee at 9 o'clock at night.
He still does drink coffee at 9 o'clock at night.
I just spread other stuff in between the day,
Yeah. Lauren, do you have high blood pressure? If so, how high was it before you started carnivore? I don't have high blood pressure. When I started it, I was eking up, but I was like 130/80. So I was at the bottom of high blood pressure. And now my blood pressure is 110/70. I've always run on the lower end of the spectrum anyways. And I never took any medications for the high blood pressure because I hadn't been going to the doctor too much prior to starting carnivore. But here's the thing about blood pressures. There's different reasons they're like that, but just a standard elevated blood pressure because of weight and diabetes and everything. Pay very close attention to your blood pressures, because what happens is when you start carnivore and you get rid of the carbohydrates and the sugars, your body will release a lot of the water it's been storing on it, and your notice drops in blood pressure pretty dang quick. Okay, so pay very close attention to that, and I think you need to watch that, because some people, one of the ladies that lives south of us, she's on 3 blood pressure medications, and she noticed she started getting faint and dizzy when she would move around. It's because she was on too much at that point because her body wasn't retaining it. Salt is not the devil. Salt with carbohydrates is the devil, because what happens is salt wants to follow water. Water binds with carbohydrates. A lot of carbohydrates, a lot of water, your body will retain salt. No carbs, no water retention, your body will process the salt easy peasy and not have that impact on the blood pressure. If you're forced to, by the gods, to eat a sugary treat besides butter, what would you eat? Sugary treat besides butter, heavy cream, or cheese? I mean, I guess I consider that like...
Those aren't sugary treats. With sugar in it?
I don't know. If I had to eat something, I'd eat a sugar-free something rather, or like artificial sweetened. But to be honest, asparagus. I know it's a weird thing to think sugary, but if you're on carnivore, asparagus.
Grilled asparagus is awesome.
Or, even better, roasted Brussels sprouts with a homemade garlic aioli.
Yeah.
The bomb. I found out a lot of lunch meat is full of sugar. Yeah. Sugar is usually used in the curing process with the sodium nitrates, but it's trace amounts. A lot of issues, especially with ham and stuff, is they add a lot of sugar on top of that for flavor, like honey ham, things like that.
So fundamentally, in our food distribution network in the U.S. is that we have a lot of preservatives to keep food lasting a long time. And to offset that, they put a lot of sugar in it. So even the most innocuous things like lunch meat have a good chunk of sugar in them. What you have to really try to do is get whole foods that you can store, freeze, or consume on a regular basis out of the grocery store.
Yeah. Hopefully you guys can hear Scott because he's in front of me. I keep wanting to say behind. David. Hi, David from Northern Ireland. I want to come visit Ireland so bad. Can you ease into carnivore and reduce other foods over time, or do you just have to jump in? My old videos, I said you need to choose one path or the other. I strongly suggest now tapering into it. Now, I think you should today go to your cabinets and get rid of like candy bars and cookies and stuff, but everything else, like, vegetables, fruits, if you want to go strictly to carnivore. Because here's the thing. We have developed habits of eating whatever it is, processed bad foods. And when going from black to white, that starkness, it is a big shock and it requires a lot of willpower versus tiny habit changes. Okay. So let's say you go for a run every evening, and after that, this sounds dumb, but this is the best idea I could come up with. You have a sugary soda after every run. I don't know. I'm just making stuff up at this point. And then you can start by replacing those things with having like seltzer water instead of sugary sodas. Just, you know what I mean? Trade things out, replace things, wean into it, because it will be easier to make this a long-term thing if you're not shocked into it. The caveat with that, and why it worked for me going from cake one day to carnivore the next, is I had a huge seminal moment of realizing I didn't actually want to die. And we can't generate those for ourselves. It's just events happen and we have these pivotal moments that have a rapid perspective change. And that's what happened. And it's why it worked for me. If you don't have that huge perspective change, it becomes a struggle. So baby steps, because we didn't get sick and overweight overnight. It took small habit changes that got us there. So it's going to take small habit changes to get us out of there. Will ghee in the coffee work for people who are intolerant to lactose? Yeah. If you can make your own, by the way, ghee, cheaper, easier, by the way, and it tastes better. I've had ghee from the store that tasted rancid brand new. Yeah. You can still, depending on how bad you were eating, you can still experience the keto flu, but the small changes means your habits are changing, which means you're less likely to fall out of those habits because you have a lot of good habits building up. Are spices okay? I use spices. A lot of people use spices. I did find black pepper we don't hardly use ever at all because it actually gives, I flush with it. I don't know why. I keep meaning to get white pepper to try that, but I keep forgetting. So we don't use black pepper in our food anymore. Hardly. So figuring out what spices do well. Maybe you do good with all of them. Maybe not. I can tolerate dairy more easily if it's fried, baked, or fermented. Is there any way to cook milk before I drink it? I would not suggest drinking milk of any kind. Milk is to help fatten up baby cows. It has a lot of carbohydrates in it, and it's just meant for baby cows to fatten them. Aim for things that are filling, like butter or heavy cream if you're not going to go overboard with it, or some cheeses, some high quality cheeses. Yeah. That's why I say, Scott and I do dirty carnivore, because we don't do 100% only meat ever, because we do spices, coffee, and intermittent dairy. Oh, I don't mention this because I haven't tried it because I'm not an egg person, but I have heard putting egg in the coffee is good too, and you just blend it up as well. Is it okay to take honey in coffee when doing carnivore? There is a big split in the community because is it Saladino, Paul? I think he's the one that says fruit and honey are okay on carnivore. I disagree, but there's the caveats with it. If you have never had a metabolic issue and you're healthy and active, there probably is zero issue with doing that because your body has not had to deal with disease, breakdown, diabetes, and stuff. So if you're 50 and you've been super fit and healthy your whole life and never had metabolic issues or whatever, probably fine. If you have disease, diabetes, been sick, overweight, you have experienced metabolic syndrome, and I strongly suggest against it. Honey is pure sugar. It is pure sugar. It is no different than eating white sugar. Okay. I mean, it's slightly, but for the sake of argument, it's pretty much the same the way your body metabolizes it. And it will keep you out of ketosis and also keep that sugar craving around. Amanda's opinion, caveat there. I found that you can add your cream to your coffee, then bring it to a boil in a pot. It'll make the coffee have a caramel flavor. Interesting.
Okay.
I will have to try that one day. I don't think garden stuff is that bad. I don't think it nearly is as bad as what's in the grocery store. There's a documentary I want to watch on Netflix called, I think it's called Poisoned. What got me interested in it, it's a colander with like vegetables and it says poison. I'm like, oh, is this anti-vegan stuff? And I watched just the intro and he was USDA or whatever. No, he's a lawyer that would sue the federal government and stuff because of the amount of food poisoning with vegetables. It was actually really interesting, just the little snippet. Has anybody watched that? I'm curious. Question. I started carnivore a week ago. Congrats. And now have foamy urine. Could it be dehydration or the kidneys? I'm a little worried. Besides the foam, I feel great. Has it happened to you guys? The best thing you can do for knowing if you've had enough water is the color of your urine. It should not be anything close to this. Well, it's actually lighter on the screen versus here. It should be lighter than this. It should be close to this color, actually, now that I'm looking at the screen. It should be close to this, but semi-translucent. If it's darker, you are dehydrated. As far as foam, But if you're a guy, I'm just guessing, isn't foamy urine like a thing? Like if you're standing up and going to the bathroom?
I don't really.
I guess, you know.
Maybe, like, I don't know.
Drink some more water. Make sure you're getting enough sodium, magnesium, potassium.
Yeah.
Other than that,
probably do
if
that
you're
one.
feeling fine, I wouldn't worry about it too much.
Yeah. The other part is if he's just going on to carnivore, making sure he has enough electrolytes.
Electrolytes are very important. Ketogenic woman, hello! Asparagus is my secret trait. Mine too. I had 4 sticks yesterday.
Grilled asparagus.
I did have a bit of grilled asparagus. That is my new cheat meal, is having a little asparagus here and there. I love it. Love it. Oh, here we go. Finally got around to making my own meat flour. Can you recommend a recipe to try with it?
Salisbury steak!
Salisbury steak. I believe I have a recipe video on the YouTubes. Ketogenic woman probably has tons too, but Salisbury steak.
Nom, 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 nom.
I did miss the onions and mushrooms in it, but it ended up delicious. It was really, really good. Really good. Yeah, get rid of the bread immediately. And the people who are weaning into this, the things I strongly suggest getting rid of is just chuck the processed foods out, specifically ice creams, candy bars, sugars, cookies, those kinds of things. Chuck them first. I eat low carb bread. Not sure if it's keto, definitely not carnivore, but it's made for low carb flour and gluten free. There are, and ketogenic woman's probably a good one for this because recipes are not, I mean, we find some here and there that I like. There are a lot of like carnivore keto homemade breads that are much better. The problem with the store-bought ones is they still have a lot of carbs. And a big issue that has happened recently, well, I shouldn't say recently, but actually since Atkins, is net fiber minus, or fiber minus carbs gives net carbs. It is not how it works. If you eat 20 carbs and it has 10 grams of fiber, they're like, oh, it's only a net of 10 carbs. That is not how it works. It does help slow down the absorption of it, but it is not a one-to-one. So it's kind of like just a marketing scam. So I would look back at your breads and see how low carb are they actually if you do not take out the fiber from it. It'd be crazy. Hi, Barb. Listened to you when you were on Dr. Barry's. Very inspirational. I was on Weight Watchers for years, lost weight, then during COVID, shut down, gained it all back. This is why small changes are so important. So important because they create habits that keep us from sliding backwards versus that iron grip that we have to keep on the journey. All right. First time I went carnivore, failed because I got terrible rashes and was miserable. It scared me. Second time I eliminated grains and bread first and went from there. Most likely it was like oxalate dumping and things like that for going probably drastic changes, I'm assuming here. Oh, I just realized. Okay. I'm going to scroll down faster. Let's see. J, suggestion on how to persuade my family doctor to look at research papers I brought to my last appointment. Doctor's pushing me to go on statin because my cholesterol has gone up a lot since going keto. Go see a cardiologist. They may not agree with you. Doesn't matter. You want to see them because you want them to do the advanced work. You are going to get, sadly, nowhere with your doctor arguing with them about a standard blood panel they ran. Those blood panels, the lipid panels are literally calculated numbers. You have to see a cardiologist. My PCP does it, but this has been a lot of work with him. Go see a cardiologist, ask for an NMR or cardiac IQ advanced R lipid panel blood test. They actually send it to the Cleveland Clinic and they actually look at a microscope for there and you'll get much better idea about your cardiac health. So until you do that, there's going to be nowhere you're going to get with your doctor.
If you need to know what test to ask for, it's on Amanda's website.
Oh, it is probably on my website. Oh, thank you, Lynette. You're sweet as pie. Thank you, Walker family. You guys are super duper sweet. Let's see. Okay, I think that's everything, guys. Thank you for taking the time to spend your Sunday morning with me. I will be back again next Sunday at 9. Have a wonderful week. And remember, give yourself grace if you've stumbled. And as I've said like 8 times already, are you willing to give up what you want for what you need? Have a good day, guys. Thank you. Bye.